Hey, everybody. Welcome to our first night of Everyone Communicates Few Connect. I am Brittany Howard, and I am going to kick us off tonight with chapter 1. So we're going to do this book study a little differently. We are going to have 30-minute calls in one chapter a week. And just to keep it short and sweet, because we got some feedback from a lot of you who work full time, and some of you have accountability calls for an hour on Thursday nights right before book study, and it was getting kind of long. It was feeling long. So we shortened it. And years ago, we did do these calls for 30 minutes. But I think when we started 21 Irrefutable Laws and decided to do 2 chapters a week of that one so that it didn't drag out for like 5 months, then we went to hour long. But anyways, so it's not necessary that this go longer than 30 minutes, but you can do anything for 30 minutes. So be brave, be bold, speak up, because we want to hear from you. Leaders speak up, and leaders intentionally add value. Okay. So chapter 1 was about how connecting increases your influence. He says that when people possess the ability to connect, it makes a huge difference in what they can accomplish. And it's vital for anybody who wants to achieve huge success, or anybody who wants to have great relationships, to have this skill of connecting. And it is a skill. And you guys know the difference between a strength and a skill, right? Because a strength is something that you are naturally good at. You don't have to think too hard about it or be even super intentional about it. You just kind of just come natural to you. But a skill is something that probably doesn't come natural to you, but anybody can learn it. And connecting is one of those things. It is a skill. Okay. So, and he says it is super important, because without it, you're not going to be able to reach your potential. Like, it literally depends on this skill. So when you think about your Plexus business, and I want you guys to think kind of in the terms of the 4 pillars, what results in your business will depend on your ability to truly connect with people.
You want us to
Recruiting.
verbally answer? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Rachel.
Well, recruiting. First pillar.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Connect.
Yeah. Being able to recruit is going to depend on that. How so, Rachel? Elaborate.
Well, anybody can copy and paste messages, and people get lots of those daily. So they don't necessarily read a message just because you pop in their inbox about Plexus. They start reading your messages and listening to what you have to say after you've connected with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally agree. Anybody else have anything to add to that? Jana, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say just listening to people, like really listening when you are doing that first pillar, or any of them, honestly, just truly listening, like to the verbs they're using and to their feelings and their thoughts behind that, and just truly listening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think in terms of recruiting, it's especially important for handling objections. Just like you said, Jana, listening to the verbs they're using, or listening to their feelings or their fears or their concerns or whatever, and then just being able to speak directly to those. That oftentimes people won't even tell you their objections. They'll just not respond to your message. Or they'll just say no. They won't even tell you their objections if you haven't taken the time to connect. So yeah, recruiting results will definitely depend upon this skill. What about the other 4 pillars? What other results in your business will depend on your ability to truly connect with people?
I was thinking about retention and just even doing the welcome calls. I did 2 this week with 2 new people, and I was thinking about the conversations we had and just really like giving brief a bit about my story, but then leaving enough time for them to really talk about their health journey and how like what they've struggled with in the past, what they've tried, giving them time to also really discuss what their goals are so that we can kind of like work around that and then like reevaluate that later so that we know, what's the best way to get them successful results.
I love that, Kelly. That's so good. That's a great point. And if you're not listening well to them talk about their health goals or their health journey or their health struggles, then you probably won't be effective at following up with them once they're on their products or keeping them on the products, building belief in the products, all of those things. Great point. What else, y'all?
To add on to that a little bit, what Kelly was saying, I think, your actual connection from the very beginning, but especially in the retention is, when they get in the trenches and it gets hard and they can't see anything, sometimes it is simply that connection that you have created that's going to keep them powering through, even though they don't think anything is happening, but you've made that connection to push them through it.
Yeah. And because they trust you and you're saying, this is going to work. Just trust me. Keep going. Yes, absolutely, Molly. Great point.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing is like when I first started this, like my influence really helped me, and not so much influence, but just how I had connected with people over the years. And then I started sharing about this and there was trust there. So now fast forward to I'm kind of 2 years into my business and I'm just learning that I'm having to ask more questions and listen more and just be more diligent about like their pain points and just not going into like convince mode, like I'm telling you need this, and just trying for them to one realize why they need it. Or I've just kind of had to switch my mindset a little bit and just listen more, talk less, and just really just let them not only open up about what it is they're wanting, but also like remind them of that when they feel like they want to give up. Like just remind them why they started and just cheer them on and motivate. And I feel like that's one thing that I kind of had to adjust recently.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great point, Kristen.
Well, and I was thinking duplication, because duplication occurs when we cast vision. And if you don't know people, if you have not connected with them, if you don't know what drives them or what their dreams are, it's kind of hard to do that, because I can tell people what my vision is and what I want out of life. But if they don't give a flying flip about traveling and adventures and all the things, they're just over here wanting to make sure all the people in the world are healthy and happy, that we're not going to connect, and that's not casting vision for them. So it's it hits all the pillars, but it's super important for duplication because we have to know what's in people's hearts. We have to have connected with them to be able to really cast vision well.
Yes. Yep. Totally agree. Just like Rachel said, it's so much more than just copy and paste messages. Like that might get you started with getting you a few customers when you first start, but it is not going to create business builders. You definitely have to have the skill of connecting with the person on the other side of that screen or the other side of that phone call in order to get someone wanting to build a business with you.
And even with like new business builders, I had someone come to me this week that wants to do a business. She's a stay-at-home mom of 8. Whew. And she's like talking about all the things. She's like, I just, I want to know more about the business. And instead of doing what I typically do, and I'm like, okay, cool. Here's the getting started video. Let's do this. I am very much a type 3. I do not need anyone to motivate me. I am very self-motivated, but most people are not. And I was like, okay, stop. Let's think for a second. Let's ask some questions, figure out why she wants the business. Is it for income? Is it for helping? And instead of sending one of the videos I normally sent, I went and looked through 8 billion of your YouTube videos to find one where you did a vision casting call, because you were also a stay-at-home mom. You were also homeschooling. You also have 6 kids. Like your personality is a lot more like her personality as far as how she is and listening versus talking. So what I would typically send, or like sending one of Christina's, might not hit the same way as sending one of yours, because you and her are a lot more similar. And I feel like that resonated with her better than what I would have typically sent.
That's so good, Jessa. So good. Great points. And what you just did, I mean, it definitely sounds like a connection was established there, because you listened to her, you tried to relate to her, and you tried to like really think what would speak to her, even though it's different than what would speak to me, like Emily said. And that right there, you taking that time to do that and figure out what would inspire her, what would motivate her, that will help in the fourth pillar, which is leadership. Anybody have any thoughts on how the skill of connecting is going to be essential for the results you want to get in leadership?
Oh, I do.
Do
They're
tell.
They're only going to meet like your lid. Like if I'm not growing in leadership, then they're not gonna grow. So this is where I've really had to just focus on like, okay, what am I doing to personal growth so I can take that to the next level? Because who's below me, behind me, whatever you want to call it, beside, doing this with me, like they're like my max capacity, that's where they're going to be. So I've really just tried to focus on like how I can go a step further and how I can grow in this leadership area, because I've always just been one to so quickly be like, I'm not a leader, but Christina has to quickly remind me like, no, you're not a leader in a hospital. Like you don't want to manage people. Like, so I've really just had to really grow in that area and just know that I am a leader in this and that I can grow in this and just be able to connect with them and all that. So
Well, leadership is just influence, right? That's all leadership means. And you do influence people, Kristen. You do. So you 100% are a leader because you are influencing people. All of us on this call influence people every day. Maybe it's only people in our inner circle. Maybe some people have broader reach with their influence, but all of us have some influence in whatever capacity. So this skill of connecting, like you're not going to be able to influence people for very long or very much if you don't take the time to actually connect.
I don't lead a team yet, but from the other side of leadership and having others lead me, I think connection is extremely important because you have to have really hard conversations sometimes, and you have to help people grow and stretch. And if you don't have an authentic relationship and you're not connected, that person might not receive what you're trying to help them with. And so I think that's really important to build that up at the forefront and let that person know that you care about them and their success and their vision and what it will do for them. That way, when it's time for them to stretch and grow and you have to have those conversations, they're not offended, but they're open.
That's so good, Chelsea. Great point. So glad you said that, because yes, part of influencing people will involve sometimes having to say things that are unpleasant, uncomfortable to deliver. Right. And how you are received will definitely depend upon how well you're able to connect.
Well, and like there was the story in the book about the two presidents, you know, that were both like, they're both given these speeches and everything. And it said that one like hit every point they could to connect with everyone. And the other one's like, my job is so hard and this nation's just riding on me. And like, he didn't connect with nobody. I was thinking how awful that must have gone. Like, but that's what that reminded me of, you know, if you connect with people, like, even if you say those hard things, it's just much more received and relatable than like, oh, they're just going off and they think they're so great or something. So I really like that, Chelsea.
That's so good. I'm so proud of you guys for speaking. I'm so excited about how many different people are speaking up right now, y'all. For real, I'm so proud. So proud. It really encourages me that you guys, I mean, it's like a lot of new leaders showing up on here. So thank y'all for speaking up. I can tell it's been reading, bunch of y'all. All right. Any other thoughts on 4 pillars and how the skill is directly related to the results you're going to get in your business. Before I move on.
Can I
want to say, oh, sorry, go ahead, Rachel.
go ahead? I've already talked.
Me too.
Oh, I can't see who's talking. So I was just going to story tell really quick. I'll make it really, really quick. And probably a lot of y'all have heard this, but I literally would have quit the business 4 months in. I don't even know how long it was. April might know the months, but I would have quit after silver had it not been for April. And it had nothing to do about what I had done. I had earned leaders retreat to California as a silver. Like I could have been on a ship that Plexus, but I didn't go because I had so much going on. And had it not been for April's connection to me, I would have been out. Like I couldn't handle life. Like I surely couldn't handle a business. So I thought, so like connection with people is so important.
Yeah.
That's my story.
I totally agree with that, Rachel. I mean, I would say the same thing. I would say the absolute same thing because sometimes this business feels hard, right? There's going to be days where you feel like you're on cloud nine, but other days you're going to feel like you want to pull your hair out. Some days you might feel like you want to quit. And you're definitely going to wonder, is this ever going to happen? Because it's simple what we do, but it's not easy. And if you don't quit, you do get there, but your feelings don't always match that thought, right? And so it is oftentimes the connection that keeps people going. And sometimes it's not just a connection to one person. It could be a connection to like the whole community, right? All right, question for self-reflection. Nobody has to answer this out loud. Although if you want to, if you're feeling froggy and vulnerable, please, by all means, share. But he said, this was so interesting to me. He said that when people are frustrated, they typically respond in one of three ways. They're either going to deal with their frustration by crashing, coping, or changing. And he said that if you're wanting change, that you have to be the one who initiates it. So which one do you typically lean toward whenever you feel frustrated? Do you crash, do you cope, or do you change? The highest achievers will change. Most people will cope, or they just think that it's easier to ignore something or brush something under the rug than it is to confront it or solve it. But if you want change in your life, then you cannot deal with your frustration or respond to your frustration by coping. Definitely not crashing. So think about which one of those three you are. And the one about coping, you know what else it made me think of? When we were at Ruby Retreat, Christine and I trained on communication, and we talked a lot about passive aggressive behavior. And what we learned through preparing for that training was that passive aggressive behavior happens when people don't get their way, but they feel powerless to change the situation. Passive aggressive behavior happens from people who are coping with their frustration versus confronting it or changing it. So just something to think about. If you want change in your life, you're going to have to take initiative. You will have to learn to change versus cope or crash. Okay. Then the next thing he said that I thought was very interesting, he listed out some qualities of high achievers, average achievers, and low achievers. So he said high achievers care about people as well as profits, view subordinates optimistically. So when he said subordinates, I'm thinking like your team, because your team's not really subordinate to you, but I mean, you're the leader. So for the purposes of this illustration, that's how that would apply. View subordinates optimistically, seek advice from those under them. find that to be very interesting. When's the last time you asked somebody in your downline for advice, or not necessarily for advice, but like, what's their opinion on something? I'm going to tell y'all, I do that all the time. All the time. There is nothing in my brain that thinks I'm the smartest one on my team. I am always asking my top lead, but I recognize areas where people are strong where I'm not. And also, even when I am strong in an area, I second guess myself a million times, and I need a second, third, and sixth opinion to validate before I can feel confident enough, honestly. And so I'm always seeking advice from people in my downline. And I've noticed that when I do that, it makes people feel special. It makes them feel cared about. It makes them feel valued, seen, heard. That's really important. When is the last time you asked your team for their opinion on something? And then the other thing high achievers do is that they listen well to everyone. And I thought it was interesting compared to the average achievers who he said only listen to their superiors. They don't listen well to everyone. They only listen well to people who they feel that are superior to them. All right. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting. You should analyze those traits and kind of score yourself. Do you have more traits of a high achiever, an average achiever, or a low achiever? And the thing is, you can change any of it. Any of those qualities of a high achiever can be developed. There are a lot of times skills that can be learned, or something that they learn to do along the, like they developed it. Okay. Okay. Then he said that connecting one-on-one is more important than being able to connect in a group or with an audience. And to increase your influence one-on-one, talk more about the other person and less about yourself. He said, if you know that you're going to have a conversation with someone, then like if there's a gathering or an event or something like that, then you should, and this is not just if you know you're going to, here's the thing, you will have conversations with people. So just go ahead and be proactive and be prepared with 2 to 3 questions that you can ask any person to start a conversation that shows that you're interested in them and that can establish a connection. So give me some examples of just some basic 2 or 3 questions you can keep in your back pocket to pull out in a situation where you are having a conversation with a person one-on-one.
What's a bucket list item you want to check off the list this year?
Oh, that's a good one. Love
I like
it.
to ask people what they're reading or listening to.
Oh, that's very interesting. I would love to hear people's answers to those questions.
Because it tells you not only like what they're doing, but do they prioritize fiction, nonfiction, history, political? Like it's multifaceted.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's a good one.
Simply ask them what they do for a living and what they like best of it.
Yes, that's generally my go-to. This is how I start. Are you from here? You are? Okay, cool. You grow up here? That's awesome. What do you do for a living? What inspired you to go into that field? That's generally how it goes for me. Or if I say, where are you from here? And they say no, then I'll say, where are you from? Oh, how'd you end up here? So that I can hear their story. If they are from here, then we usually talk about what they do for a living. If they're not from here, and you know what's interesting also when you say, are you from here? If they say, no, I'm not from here. And then I say, oh, well, where are you from and what brought you here? Usually it's also something work related or military related or whatever. So those are great questions that can start a conversation with anybody. And here's the thing too, we learned this in How to Win Friends and Influence People, but you can have a conversation with anybody and say less than 10 words in a matter of 5 minutes, and that person's going to walk away thinking that was a great conversation, feel seen, heard, and valued and cared about, if you just simply get them talking about themselves. So if you are just interested in people and you get them talking, people love to talk about themselves. And if you just are the one who shows interest in who they are, then it will be a connection established. All right, we only have 3 minutes, so I definitely want to get this last question in. He said that to connect in a group, you have to take initiative. That means like you have to be the one who starts the connection. You got to be bold and brave and do it scared, because everybody in the group is probably feeling just as out of place or insecure as you are. And so you have to take initiative. And he says that you should look for ways to compliment people in the group for their ideas and their actions. So let's practice that now. I would like you guys to shout out a compliment to somebody on this call, and we will end on that note.
Rachel, I love your new haircut.
Me too. So cute.
Yeah, I saw it last weekend.
Brittany, I love your lipstick color.
Was that Suzanne?
It was, yeah. Ever since Monday, I want to get my hair cut now because, Christina and then Rachel's hair, and then Abby got her hair done.
Yes. Molly, did you say something?
I did. I said, I love your lipstick color.
Oh, to me?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
And your eyebrows, girl.
I was gonna too.
Well, the mascara balanced them out, so y'all probably don't even notice them now. But earlier they was looking some strong vibes.
Brittany, I love your podcast, and I'm so proud of you and so impressed with what you were building.
Oh, thank you, Lynn.
And
Thank
grateful. I'm so grateful to be on your team.
Oh, super sweet. Thank you.
I'm going to shout out Jana because she is already good at communication. And anytime we're in a group setting, if she sees someone standing by themselves, it's like a magnet. You can watch her. She is going to walk over to that person and try to bring them into the conversation and get them to where they're comfortable.
It is a rare talent that Jana has.
Yes.
She's the best.
And you don't know how bad I needed this book. This will be the third time. I've listened to this book twice, and now I'm actually reading it because I felt like I was terrible at it, Jessa. But that makes me feel so good.
And I don't know if Liz is on here or not, but if Liz is on here, it must be something with redheads because Liz is also exceptional about looking for people like in a setting. She will find you if you were sitting there by yourself.
I echo that about Liz and Jana.
Yep.
So
It's something with that redhead vibe.
Jessa, I want to shout you out because you're so witty and hilarious. Like you just say the funniest things. I love it.
Well, I don't know if Jackie's on here, but I loved Jackie's Facebook post today because she was just her happy, bubbly self. And I went and I told her too in the messages. And I was like, I just love you because you're so sweet.
Oh, I love Jackie too. She has the best attitude of anybody I've ever met. Like even when she's complaining, she's smiling. I feel like she's like just keeps the best attitude. I respect it so much. All right, it's 9:30, so I'm gonna give y'all 60 seconds. Get those compliments in.
All right, I've got one for
shout out
Pamela.
Whitney because she and I have curly hair and we've been going back and forth and on our products, and it's been so much fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Becky, for sharing that. Jess, were you saying that?
I was, yeah. I'm going to compliment Pamela. From the minute I've met her, she is so good at reading people, and she can pick people out of a crowd too. If somebody's standing in a crowd and she notices that somebody's just off or not being themselves, she's so great at just seeing that there's something that's not right and just connecting with that person to figure out what it is.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a good talent to have. It's a good strength.
Hey, Shannon, I think you're a great little mama, especially when you got that cute little baby on the Zoom with you. You're crushing it, girlfriend.
So sweet. Shannon has great camera presence. I have to say that. I love anytime Shannon does an event or a training, it's always so good. She's animated, she's energetic, just a natural on camera. All right, one last compliment and then we're ending. I'm having a real hard time with this 30-minute thing, y'all. Feel like y'all
well-
took something away. Anybody?
Me.
I'll say one.
And
Brittany,
Amanda? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Susan. And then Amanda, I'll come back to you.
I love your intensity and learning to grow and the way you think about what you share in the book studies.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. Amanda, were you going to share?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if Haley is on here or not, but she is the reason why I am where I am right now. I tried in the past and I didn't think I could do it, so I gave up really quickly. And Haley got back with me and believed in me, and I have really done well November, December. So thanks to her, she never stopped believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. So that's a big deal for me.
Amen. I second that.
That's awesome. Way to go, Haley. It's good leadership. All right, y'all. Well, as
Can
much
I
as
share one?
Yes.
Okay, just one
Okay.
last one. I want to give a shout out to Jess for all the science that she brings and all the research studies that she goes through and looks at for us.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
All
I
right,
think
y'all.
we should end with, I'm going to shout out this whole team for being on this call tonight and making this a priority and showing up. Y'all all are awesome.
No, and for speaking up. I'm so proud of you guys for speaking up. It means a ton to me because it just communicates leadership because you are intentionally adding value, even though you may be nervous. So kudos to you guys. I'm looking forward to this whole entire book. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm excited to see how we're going to learn and grow together. Enjoy your extra 27 minutes. Bye.